Welcome to Sleep with Myth. Close your eyes and let the world fade away. Tonight we drift beyond time, where gods dream and stories remember their light. Night fell softly over the world, not like a curtain of shadow, but like a deep breath settling into the lungs of the sky. Stars shimmered into existence one by one. Tiny lanterns lit by unseen hands, until the heavens glowed with the familiar constellations sailors trusted, lovers sought, and wanderers whispered to. But tonight something was wrong. Talia could feel it before she saw it. She stood at the edge of the cliff overlooking the black curve of the ocean. Her palms pressed against the cold stone as the wind tangled her hair. She came here often, ever since her mother had vanished on a storm-swept voyage 3 years ago. The sea was her comfort. The stars were her guidance. But not tonight. A tremor passed through the air. Soft, faint, like the shiver of a dream trying to hold on. Talia stiffened. The sky is breathing? She lifted her head. For a heartbeat, only one, the stars flickered. Not like candles in wind. Not like reflections in rippling water. But like living things losing strength. Talia's breath hitched. No, that's not possible. And yet, the constellations trembled. Lines of starlight stretched, bent, sagged like threads pulled too tightly. Then, a sound rose from the horizon, a low, distant hum, deep enough that Talia felt it through her ribs, gentle enough that the ocean itself softened its waves to listen. The skies brightened. Talia stumbled back. Through the crack in the night, a shape emerged. Massive, silent, luminous. A whale. A whale made entirely of starlight. Its body rippled with galaxies. Its fins carved from drifting nebulae. Its eyes glowing with the light of forgotten dawns. It swam through the sky as though the heavens were an ocean and Talia was watching something she was never meant to see. Her voice barely escaped her lips. A celestial whale. The ancient being arched its shimmering back, scattering stardust in a sweeping arc. The dust fell gently, twinkling as it drifted down. Some pieces dissolving mid-air, others settling onto the surface of the ocean like falling dreams. Talia's heart thundered. No story, no myth, no tale from the sailors' mouths had ever spoken of this. Not in full. Only whispers. Only fragments. A guardian of the night. A watcher of the tides. A creature that swims between worlds. Old legends, half forgotten around lantern-lit tables. But the whale's arrival was not peaceful. His body shook. Stars along its spine flickered violently. Its massive tail dragged behind as if weighed down by something Talia could not see. The creature let out a sound low, trembling. A cry. It echoed across sky and sea, vibrating through the world like a memory trying to survive. Talia pressed a hand to her heart. You're hurt. And then, a small orb of light floated beside her, pulsed softly. A voice whispered into her mind. He is falling. Talia spun. Who's there? The celestial whale is losing its dream. What does that mean? If his dream ends, the sky will forget how to shine. The night after the whale first appeared, Mira did not expect to sleep. Her mind was too full of silver fins crossing the sky, of stars flowing like rivers, of the echo of that voice that had never quite reached her ears, but had settled somewhere behind her heart. And yet, when darkness deepened and the village lanterns went out one by one, sleep found her gently, not like falling, like being carried. She felt it before she saw anything, that same soft pressure, like waves pressing against her skin, though she lay still beneath her blanket. Then came the sound, not a song, not quite, a low, distant hum, like a lullaby sung by the ocean to the moon. Myra's breathing slowed. Her room faded, the wooden beams, the little window, the faint outline of shelves and folded clothes. In their place rose a horizon she knew and did not know, painted with slow, flowing light. She opened her eyes. She was standing at the edge of the world. The sea beneath her was not water. It was sky. An endless expanse of stars stretched below her feet, moving like tide currents. Constellations drifted past like schools of shimmering fish, their shapes bending and reforming as they swam. Above her, there was no ceiling of night, only a second ocean of stars. For a moment, Mira couldn't tell what was up and what was down. She stood on a narrow ledge of dark stone floating in the middle of it all, a small island between two infinite skies. A faint, silver mist curled at the edges of the stone, falling away into eternity. Myra's hands shook at her sides. "I'm dreaming," she whispered. Her voice did not echo. The stars listened. The hum rose again, that deep, steady vibration she had felt the first night, when the whale had passed above the clouds. Mira turned. The starlight shifted, and from the lower ocean of constellations a shape rose. The celestial whale surfaced in silence. No roar, no splash. Its enormous body broke through the star sea with slow, graceful power. Starlight cascaded off its back in shimmering streams, falling upward and downward at once. Myra's breath caught. The whale was even larger here than it had appeared above her village. Vast as a drifting island, its skin patterned with nebulae and swirling galaxies. Each slow movement of its fins created ripples in the star sea, sending constellations swirling in new patterns. One of its eyes opened. It was not like any creature's eye she had seen before. It was a small, spiraling galaxy, full of color and depth and ancient, quiet understanding. Mira felt something inside her chest loosen. "You came back," she whispered. The whale's mouth did not move, but the hum in the air deepened, shaping itself into words that bypassed her ears and went straight into her thoughts. "I did not leave," the whale said. "You simply did not remember how to follow." Mira blinked. "I don't understand." The whale lifted its massive head slightly, breathing in a way that shifted the entire sea of stars. "You have walked these tides before." Mira shook her head. "No, I've never." A small memory surfaced, unexpected. A childhood night, long before storms took her parents. Sneaking out onto the roof, falling asleep watching the stars. A dream she'd forgotten, a faint song she couldn't quite recall. Her throat tightened. "Is this The same place? She whispered. Have I been here before? The whale's vast body drifted closer, casting her in a shadow made of soft darkness and dusted light. Once, it said, when your heart was smaller but your listening was greater. Mira looked down at her hands. When I was a child, the whale hummed in gentle agreement. You heard us then as you hear us now. But the waking world became loud. Its noise layered over our currents. Mira thought of the years since then, running errands, hearing whispered worries about poor harvests, watching the sea grow rougher each season, feeling the weight of days stacking on top of her quiet thoughts. She hadn't stopped loving the sky, but she had stopped expecting it to answer. Why call me back now? Mira asked. Why show yourself again? The star sea beneath the whale dimmed. Some of the constellations that had been swimming there a moment before now seemed distant, blurred, like memories on the verge of slipping away. Because the whale said gently, the sky is forgetting how to dream. Myra's breath caught. The sky can forget? All things that dream can forget, the whale answered. Even the sky, even the sea, even old creatures who swim between them. The edge of sadness in the whale's voice hummed through her bones. Mira stepped closer to the ledge's edge, staring at the dimming constellations below. What happens? She asked quietly. When the sky forgets its dreams. The whale's enormous tail moved slowly, stirring the star sea into a slow, mournful spiral. The patterns fade, it said. Stories that once guided travelers vanish. Songs that once soothed storms go silent. Those who look up at night feel only emptiness, and believe that is all there ever was. Mira thought of the village, of how few people paused to look at the stars anymore, of how many nights she had stood alone on the cliff. People are busy, she said weakly, as though defending something she did not quite believe. They are forgetting, the whale replied. But forgetting is not the same as not caring. That is why I called you. Why me? She asked for the second time in as many nights. The whale was quiet for a long moment. Because you still listen, it said. You still carry the feeling of wonder, even when you pretend not to. You hear silence and know it is not empty. Mira looked out into the expanse. Silence had always meant more to her than the absence of sound. It had always felt like a presence, a waiting. What do you want me to do? She whispered. The whale's eye deepened, galaxies swirling slowly within it. I want you to help me remember, it said. Help you? Mira asked, surprised. I thought you were here to help us. A faint, amused tremor passed through the star sea, like distant laughter. Dreamers help each other, the whale said. I carry the dreams of the sky, but some of them are fading. I no longer see the full patterns. I no longer remember every way the sky once swam. It dipped lower, bringing its vast head closer to her small human height. You walk beneath us. You see from below what I can no longer see clearly from above. I need your sight. Mira blinked. I'm just one person. One is enough, the whale replied. If one remembers with all their heart, the dream will not vanish completely. And from that memory, others can be lit again. Mira stared at the swirling constellations, at the dimming patterns, at the endless, aching beauty of it all. Fear prickled at her. What if I fail? The whale's hum grew soft. Then you will have tried. And trying is a kind of light. But if you do nothing, the sky will grow quieter each year, until even your dreams forget that it once sang. Something in those words hurt more than the thought of failing. Mira swallowed. What would I have to do? The whale drew back slightly, its immense body circling her small stone island. As it moved, the star sea around them shifted, swirling into spirals and pathways. First, the whale said, "You must learn how the sky once moved." The stars below them rearranged into familiar shapes. The hunter with the rising bow. The twin birds flying in opposite directions. The great ship that forever chased a star it could never reach. Mira recognized some of them from the stories her parents used to tell. Others were strangers. "These are constellations," she said softly. Once the whale agreed, but they were more than pictures. They were currents, pathways. They guided not only the eyes of those who looked up, but the storms, the migrations, the timing of tides. The constellations shifted, becoming flowing lines of light, rivers in the sky, moving in slow, intricate patterns. Every dream the world ever had of direction, the whale said, once passed through these lines. Mira watched in quiet awe. "Where are they going?" she asked. The whale's eye dimmed. "That is the thing," it said. "Many of them are going nowhere now. They move out of habit, without purpose, without song." The spiraling constellations dulled, their lines fraying like threads worn thin. "I don't understand." The whale's voice softened. When people stopped listening, it said, the sky forgot who it was singing to. Without listeners, even the brightest song begins to falter. Mira thought of melodies half-hummed, forgotten mid-turn, of bedtime stories cut short, of promises postponed until they faded. "What can I do from down there?" she whispered. "You can remember," the whale said. "You can walk the shoreline and name the shapes. You can tell their stories to those who still stand beside you. You can teach the children what the elders have grown too tired to recall." Myra's throat tightened. That doesn't sound like enough to save something as big as the sky. The whale's starlit skin glowed brighter. "A dream does not measure by size," it said. "It measures by depth. One small lantern can change the way an entire night feels." A pause. "And there is more." Mira frowned. "More?" The star sea shivered. Far in the distance, a patch of darkness began to spread. Not the gentle darkness between stars, the thicker kind. An absence. "What is that?" Mira breathed. The whale's voice grew heavier. "The hollow tide," it said. "The place where forgotten constellations sink. Once it was small, a quiet place where old patterns went to rest. But now, the darkness spread further, swallowing clusters of stars as it flowed. Now it grows. It does not only rest. Takes." Myra's pulse quickened. "And if it keeps growing?" The whale did not answer right away. When it did, its voice was softer than starlight. "Then one night, A child will look up and see nothing at all. No patterns, no glimmers, no stories, only a blank, indifferent dark. And they will believe the world was always that way. Mira stared at the encroaching hollow tide. That can't happen, she said. It mustn't. Then you understand why I called you. The stone under Myra's feet felt suddenly less solid. She looked up at the whale. What do you need me to do? The whale circled around the darkness in the star sea, its immense shadow casting shifting shapes across Myra's face. The hollow tide is fed by forgetting, it said, by stories left untold, by names left unspoken, by dreams abandoned. Cannot swim into it alone. If I do, I will disappear with the constellations I carry. Myra's heart clenched. So you need someone who still belongs to the waking world. The whale finished. Someone who can step where I cannot and bring back what I can no longer reach. Mira stared at the hollow tide. Inside it. Yes, that sounds. She searched for the right word. Dangerous. It is, the whale agreed. Dreams are always dangerous when they are empty. But you will not go alone. It lowered its great head until its galaxy eye filled her vision. I will carry you as far as I can, it said. And the moment you begin to forget yourself, you must remember this. Mira felt the world narrow to the sound of its voice. You are not there to fight the dark. You are there to light a single point within it. One forgotten pattern. One lost song. One star that still remembers it was meant to shine. Myra's fingers curled into her palms. One star, she repeated. One is enough to prove the darkness is not all there is. Fear warred with something else inside her chest. Something like purpose. Something like a tide turning. Mira took a long, shaking breath. When do we go? The whale watched her quietly for a moment, as if letting the question settle. Then, with a slow, powerful movement of its fins, it drew closer and lowered its back to the level of her stone ledge. Now it said gently. The star sea around them brightened, as if in encouragement. Before more of the sky forgets to come back. Myra's legs felt weak, but she stepped forward anyway. She placed one hand on the whale's starlit skin. It was warm, not like flesh, not like water, but like standing close to a fire on a winter night. I'm scared, she admitted. Good, the whale replied. Only those who know fear understand what must be protected. Mira gave a small, unsteady laugh. I've heard something like that before, she murmured. She climbed onto the whale's back. Starlight flared beneath her feet, shaping itself into footholds and gentle ripples. The whale rose, carrying her above the stone ledge, above the middle sea of stars, turning its immense body toward the growing patch of darkness. The hollow tide pulsed in the distance. Mira looked at it, then up at the faint, distant stars still holding their places along the sky's oldest paths. If I forget myself, she whispered, remind me. The whale's hum deepened. I will, it said, but you must listen. Mira nodded. I will. The celestial whale swam forward, and together they began the journey toward the place where forgotten dreams sank. and where one small light, if remembered, might still learn to shine again. Mira held tightly to the celestial whale's back as it swam through the star sea. The constellations parted for them like schools of fish, scattering in shimmering arcs of silver-blue light. With every sweep of the whale's fins, the sky shifted around them. But ahead, the hollow tide pulsed, a vast, growing wound in the sky, not made of darkness, but of absence, a place where even the memory of light had been swallowed. Mira shivered. "It looks like the sky forgot how to breathe," she whispered. The whale hummed in somber agreement. "The hollow tide does not sleep," it said. "It unravels, slowly, then all at once." As they descended toward it, the star sea beneath them grew quieter. The constellations dimmed, their once bright lines frayed like threads rubbed thin by ages of neglect. Mira reached out, as if she could touch them and mend their fading glow. But her fingers passed through the starlight like mist. "Will they disappear completely?" she asked softly. "If no hand remembers them," the whale replied. "If no voice carries their names. If no heart feels wonder when it looks at them." Mira swallowed. "So, if people stop caring, even the sky dies?" "Not dies," said the whale gently, "but forgets. And forgetting is a deeper loss." At last they reached the border of the hollow tide. The change in the air was immediate. The star sea grew still, too still, like a held breath trapped in the throat of the cosmos. The constellations that swam near the edge froze in place, suspended mid-glimmer, their light flickering as if unsure whether to remain or vanish. Mira touched the whale's warm starlit skin. "Can you go any closer?" "No." The whale's voice trembled slightly, the first time Mira had heard fear from it. "I cannot cross into forgetting. If I enter the hollow tide, I will lose myself. Even now, standing so near, I feel old memories slipping." A chill swept down Myra's spine. She turned to the swirling darkness. It wasn't a void. It was more like a sea of lost thoughts, shifting waves made of every untold story, every abandoned dream. "Then this is where we part," she whispered. "For now," the whale answered, "but you will not enter alone. Take this." A ripple of light moved across its skin, and suddenly a single glowing shard rose from beneath its great fin. A tiny scale, shaped like a drop of starlight. It floated into Myra's hands, warm and pulsing. "What is it?" "Part of my memory," said the whale. "A piece of what I still recall of the sky. If the darkness tries to make you forget yourself, this will remind you who you are." Mira cupped it gently. "Thank you." "Go," the whale said softly, "and remember, you are not there to defeat the dark. You are there to find the star that still remembers how to shine." The first step into nothing. Mira stepped off the whale's back. The moment her foot crossed the border, silence swallowed everything. The hum of the whale vanished. The glow of the constellations dimmed. Even her own heartbeat became faint, distant. Mira gasped. The hollow tide felt colder than winter, but not on her skin. Inside her mind, as though thoughts froze before they fully formed. "I can do this," she whispered into the heavy dark. Her voice didn't echo. It didn't even sound like her own. She clutched the shard of starlight. This glow flickered weakly. The labyrinth of lost thoughts. Shapes drifted around her. Not creatures, but impressions. Ideas that once belonged to someone. Half-remembered songs. Dreams abandoned before they had names. One drifted close to Mira, a fragile ripple of light shaped like a tiny boat. She touched it. A child's whisper filled her mind. "I wanted to build this someday." The memory crumbled. The boat dissolved. "No," Mira whispered, heartbreaking. "Come back." But it was already gone, swallowed by the hollow tide. She pressed forward, deeper into the churning dark. Each step felt heavier. Each breath felt thinner. The shard of starlight pulsed, pulling her forward like a compass. Mira followed its warmth. The star that called her. After what felt like hours or seconds, she saw it. A faint glimmer. A tiny point of light trembling inside the fog of forgetting. The shard in her hand blazed brighter, answering it. Mira quickened her pace, stumbling through the shifting dark. The light flickered desperately, as if sensing her approach. She whispered, "I'm here. Hold on." The hollow tide roared, a soundless roar, like the sky collapsing in fear. The tiny star dimmed. "No!" Mira sprinted forward, reaching out. Her fingers brushed the fading star. And in that instant, a memory not her own flooded through her. A child lying on a rooftop. A voice sang, "One day I'll touch the stars." A laugh. A promise whispered to the sky. A dream forgotten. A dream sinking. Mira held the star to her chest. "You're not gone," she whispered fiercely. "I remember you." Light burst between her palms. The hollow tide recoiled. The star flared awake. Not fully, not yet, but enough to hold on. Mira felt tears sting her eyes. "I found you," she breathed. "You're the one." The shard of starlight glowed, warming the star in her hands. And somewhere beyond the edge of the dark, the celestial whale sang. Its voice reached her like a distant tide returning. Mira smiled through her tears. "Let's go home," she whispered, holding the saved star against her heart. She turned toward the distant glow of the whale, and began the long journey back. The hollow tide loosened its grip slowly, not like a gate opening, more like a clenched hand reluctantly letting go. Mira stepped through its thick fog, clutching the small star against her chest. Its light pulsed weakly, like a faint heartbeat struggling to stay awake after too long in the dark. Ahead of her, the star sea shimmered faintly, and she saw it, a glow in the distance, warm, familiar, the celestial whale. It hovered at the boundary of the hollow tide, unable to cross, its massive form trembling with quiet worry. The nebula light under its skin flickered and dimmed, as if every second Mira stayed within the darkness pulled a little more memory from the whale's ancient mind. Myra's breath caught. "It's forgetting," she whispered. "It's losing pieces of itself." She hurried forward, stumbling through the thick haze. A soundless surge of dark fog reached out after her, like a tide still hungry for one more forgotten dream. But the star in her hands flared suddenly, just a spark, but bright enough to force the hollow tide to recoil. Mira stepped out of the darkness, into breath, into light, into the waiting shadow of the whale. The celestial whale exhaled, a deep, trembling vibration that shuddered through the star sea. Mira lifted the star toward it. "I found it," she whispered. "One of the dreams that still remembers how to shine." The whale lowered its head, galaxy eyes softened with relief. "You returned." Mira nodded, trembling all over. "I almost didn't. Then yet, you did," the whale murmured. "Even the faintest light can guide a lost traveler home." The moment Mira lifted the star, the whale's starlit skin brightened. Faint at first, then stronger. Ripples of color swept across its massive form. Teal, violet, silver, gold. As if memory was flowing back into it from the little star Mira carried. "You're remembering," Mira said. "Yes," the whale answered, "because you remembered for me." "Tell me," Mira whispered to the little star in her palms, "who are you?" A vibration pulsed through her fingers. Not a voice, a feeling. A dream of a young child sitting atop a hill, reaching toward the sky with chubby fingers. A wish whispered into the night. "I'll be a star someday. I'll shine so someone sees me." A dream abandoned. A wish forgotten. A spark sinking into the hollow tide. Myra's eyes softened. "You wanted to shine, and no one remembered your wish." The star trembled, hurt, hope, fear, longing, all in a single flicker. The celestial whale watched closely. "It is tired," the whale said softly, "but it is not lost. Not anymore." Mira cupped the star carefully. "How do I help it?" "Return it to its place," the whale answered. "Return the forgotten star to the sky." Mira blinked up at the vast expanse of constellations. "But where? There are so many patterns, so many places it could belong." The whale turned its great head toward the star sea, whose flow had shifted. Lines bent like rivers changing course. Constellations rearranged their positions as if waiting. "Do you hear it?" the whale asked. "Hear what?" "Listen." Mira closed her eyes. At first, she heard nothing but her own breathing. Then, a hum, soft, uncertain, like a shy voice. The star in her hands was singing, not in words, in longing. A direction tugged faintly at Myra's heart, toward the northeast sky, toward a broken constellation, one whose pattern had frayed, leaving a missing point like an unspoken sentence. "I think," Mira whispered, "I know where it belongs." The whale hummed warmly. "Then go." The starsea brightened as Mira climbed onto the whale once more. The whale lifted her gently, carrying her across currents of drifting light. As they swam, Mira saw the world beneath them shift. Constellations that had once been dim now glowed faintly, as if sensing the return of something they had been waiting for centuries. The little star warmed in her hands. The closer they came to the broken constellation, the brighter the star became, its pulse synchronizing with the rhythms of the sky. The whale slowed. "This is as close as I can take you." Mira nodded nervously. "I can walk from here." The whale's galaxy eye glowed. "You already have." Mira stepped onto a narrow strand of starlight, a bridge not solid, but remembered into existence. The star pulsed strongly now, tugging her forward. She approached the constellation, a gentle curve of 5 stars, with an empty space where the 6th had once lived. Mira lifted the star. "You were part of a pattern," she whispered. "You were never meant to shine alone." The star quivered, as if shy. Mira smiled softly. "Go on," she urged. "They're waiting." The star floated from her hands. It drifted upward, hesitant at first, then confident, and nestled itself into the empty space. A soft click, like a lock turning. Light burst across the sky. The 6-star constellation glowed brilliantly, lines of shimmering silver reforming between them. And then, the pattern moved. It swam through the sky like a small celestial creature, graceful, whole, singing its shape back into existence. Mira gasped. "It's alive." The whale's voice resonated with ancient warmth. "Constellations were always alive," said the whale. "People simply forgot to notice." The little star, now restored to its pattern, flickered once more in Myra's direction, as though whispering, "Thank you." Then it swam with its siblings into the vast night. With the star returned, the sky shifted. The constellations brightened along ancient routes. Forgotten patterns reconnected. Faint songs rose in the currents of starlight. For the first time in centuries, the sky remembered itself. The celestial whale lifted Mira back upon its back, gliding gently across the recovering sea of light. Mira sat quietly on the celestial whale's back as it swam through a sky that was slowly remembering how to breathe. The constellations glowed brighter than they had in centuries. Rivers of starlight flowed in steady currents. Patterns hummed softly as they passed. Some old, some newly revived by the star Mira had returned. And yet, a shadow lingered at the edge of the horizon. Not the hollow tide. Something else. Something that pulsed like a wound behind a curtain. Mira felt it like a pressure in her chest. "What is that?" she whispered. The celestial whale slowed, its great eye dimming in thought. "A place even I fear to name," it murmured. "The deep sky, where the oldest dreams once lived, and where the great forgetfulness was born." Mira shivered. "Born?" "Yes," said the whale. "Before the hollow tide grew, before the constellations frayed, before the sky dimmed, something ancient fell asleep in the deep sky. And when it slept, it began to forget itself." Mira stared at the shifting shadow in the distance. "What fell asleep?" The whale's voice trembled. "A star mother, one of the first, the being who once wove dreams into the sky's earliest patterns." Myra's breath caught. I didn't know the sky had a mother." "All dreamers do," whispered the whale. "But even mothers can forget their own light." The shadow throbbed faintly in the dark, like a giant heart slowed nearly to stillness. And she's still asleep? Mira whispered. Asleep and dreaming without memory. Mira felt the weight of that truth settle on her shoulders. What happens when a star mother forgets her dream? The whale's voice sank low. The sky forgets as well. Mira looked up. Some constellations had brightened since the little star returned, but others still flickered weakly, and some trembled on the verge of fading again. So it's not enough to restore one star, she said softly. There are deeper wounds. The whale nodded. The star you saved was a beginning, but the deep sky holds the forgotten dreams of thousands, dreams the Star Mother can no longer keep. And we need to wake her? The whale's great tail slowed. To wake a being that vast is dangerous, but to let her sleep is worse. Mira clasped her hands together. What do we do? The call from the deep sky. As they approached the shadowed region, the star sea grew dark and heavy. The currents slowed. Even the light of the restored constellation dimmed behind them like a lantern drifting away in fog. Mira felt a soft tug at the shard of starlight she carried. It glowed faintly, as if responding to a distant call. Something's crying, Mira whispered. The whale hummed deep in its chest. You hear it? Yes, Mira said. It sounds like singing, but sad. That is the voice of the Star Mother, said the whale. Her songs created the first constellations. Her sorrow unravels them. Mira tightened her grip on the shard. Then we have to reach her. The whale dipped its massive head in agreement. We do. But this time, cannot go with you. Myra's breath caught. What? Why? The deep sky is beyond even my oldest memories, said the whale. If I enter, I will forget even my name. I will forget the stars I guard. I will forget you. Myra's throat tightened painfully. I can't go alone. The whale lowered itself so its eye met hers. Ancient, warm, shimmering with starlight. You will not be alone. You carry the star you saved. You carry my memory, and you carry your own. Mira swallowed hard. Will that be enough? The whale's voice softened. Enough to try. The sky dimmed as Mira stepped off the whale's back. The shard of starlight lit a small circle around her feet, barely piercing the fog of forgotten dreams. Behind her, the whale whispered, I will wait for you, as long as I can remember how. Mira nodded once, then walked into the deep sky. The darkness here was different from the hollow tide. The hollow tide devoured forgotten things. The deep sky unmade them. Memories felt thinner here. Thoughts drifted away mid-formation. Mira held the shard tight. Its warmth steadied her. Ahead, something vast flickered in the gloom. A silhouette. A shape like a slumbering giant woven from dying constellations. Her voice trembled. Star Mother. The Star Mother's dream. The figure stirred. Not fully. Like a mountain shifting in its sleep. Fragments of constellations drifted from her body. Tiny glimmers that detached and faded before touching the ground. Mira stepped closer. Each step felt heavier, as if the darkness were trying to pull pieces of her own memory away. She touched her chest. My name is Mira, she whispered. The shard pulsed stronger. Her memories steadied. She reached the Star Mother's side. A great, dim eye opened halfway, not seeing, not recognizing, not remembering. "Please," Mira whispered, tears stinging her eyes. "Don't forget the sky. Don't forget who you are." The Star Mother shuddered. Light flickered along her form, weak, frantic, like a failing heartbeat. Mira lifted the shard of starlight. "This dream still remembers you," she said. "It called for you. It waited for you. It wants you back." The shard glowed brighter. The Star Mother inhaled shakily. Mira pressed the shard to her vast hand. "Wake up," Mira whispered. "Not for me, not for the whale, but for the sky that still needs you, for all the stars that forgot your name." Light surged, softly at first, then stronger, then burning. The Star Mother exhaled. The first light returns. A wave of light exploded through the deep sky, not violent, not blinding, but warm, like sunrise after an endless winter. The darkness recoiled. Constellations reformed their broken lines. Dreams drifted back into place. The Star Mother opened her eyes fully, and for the first time in centuries, the sky took a complete breath. Her voice filled the air. "Little one, you remembered me." Mira broke into tears. "I just didn't want the sky to go dark." The Star Mother smiled. "No sky truly darkens, if even one heart remembers its light. Return to the whale." The deep sky brightened behind Mira as she walked back toward the celestial whale. The whale saw her and cried out in joy, its voice ringing like starlight poured into the sea. "You did it. The Star Mother lives." Mira climbed onto its back, exhausted. "She was so tired," Mira whispered. "So lonely." The whale nodded. "Then the sky will hold her now, and she will hold the sky." Mira looked up. The constellations glowed brilliantly, more whole, more alive, more beautiful than she had ever seen them. And for the first time, the sky sang. The sky shifted, not in a way Mira could see at first, but in the way she felt it. As the celestial whale glided over the star sea, a deep, steady warmth expanded across the heavens, running through constellations and currents like breath, returning to lungs that had waited centuries to exhale. Mira rested one hand on the whale's back. "You're brighter," she whispered. The whale rumbled softly. "Because the sky remembers more now, and because you returned the first star." Mira exhaled shakily. She still felt the faint buzzing warmth of the star she had saved, like a memory brushing gently against her heart before drifting back into place among the constellations. "Is it enough?" she asked quietly. "Enough to begin," the whale answered. "Enough to show the darkness it cannot have everything." As they swam, light rippled across the sky in waves. Reawakening lines connected star to star, forming patterns long forgotten. Shapes of animals, travelers, ships, and guardians. Every pattern moved with its own gentle rhythm, remembering how it once swam through the night. But the hollow tide still lurked behind them. Mira glanced back. A large patch of sky still sagged with shapeless shadow. No stars, no stories, no path. A reminder of how much had been lost. How easily darkness could grow where no heart remembered to look up. Will it keep growing? Mira asked. Not as quickly, the whale replied. But forgetting never sleeps. You healed one wound, not the sky itself. Mira lowered her gaze. So this isn't over. The whale dipped its head in a slow, sorrowful nod. It is a long journey, longer than one dream, longer than one lifetime, but every star returned strengthens the whole sky. Mira sat straighter. Then what do I have to do? The whale's vast eye, spiraling with galaxies, turned toward her. Now, you learn how to remember without me. Mira blinked. What do you mean? You must return to the waking world. White medium star, the sky before dawn. The star currents around them began to slow. The colors softened. A faint blush of warm gold spread across the horizon. Something Mira had not seen once since entering the dream sky. Is that sunrise? She breathed. Not sunrise, the whale murmured, but the dream of sunrise, the border between sleep and waking. Light rushed upward from the horizon, washing over the sky in gentle waves. The constellations dimmed, settling into place. The star sea beneath them thinned, becoming softer, lighter, like it was slowly turning into morning fog. Mira clutched the whale's starlit skin. No, wait, I can still help. I can find more stars. I can. She stopped, because something inside her trembled. Not fear, a memory. Night after night sitting on the cliffside, watching the sky, feeling alone, but listening anyway. The whale spoke gently. You carry the dream now, not in your hands, but in your seeing, in your remembering. And if I forget, you won't, because you have learned the secret. Mira whispered. What secret? The whale's voice softened, warm as dawn, that the sky dreams through those who look up. As the star sea thinned, the whale rose higher, carrying Mira toward a place where dream and waking touched like two waves meeting. The whale's skin flickered. His form began to lose weight, becoming more light than flesh, more starlight than shape, more memory than being. Mira felt panic spike in her chest. No, no, you're fading again. Not fading, the whale hummed, transforming. The sky began to fold around the whale, threads of starlight weaving into its body. The constellations echoed its shape, some curving like its fins, others spiraling like its tail. The whale was becoming the sky. You returned the first star, the whale said. Now I remember the rest of the path. Its enormous head lowered until its galaxy eye met Mira's gaze. And you, Mira, must return to the world that forgets, so you can help it remember. Mira shook her head, tears gathering. Will I see you again? The whale's voice vibrated through her bones, tender as a lullaby. Whenever someone looks at the night sky and feels something stir behind the silence, know that I am there. Mira pressed both hands flat against the whale's warm, fading skin. Thank you, she whispered, for trusting me. "No," said the whale, voice echoing with deep starlit warmth. "Thank you for listening when the world grew too loud." Light burst around them, soft, golden, rising like the first breath of morning. The whale unraveled into a stream of shimmering stars. His body dissolved into constellations. Its voice drifted like a tide returning. "Remember, and the sky will never be lost again." Mira opened her eyes. She was back in her small room, back beneath her blanket, back where the world was quiet and real. Birdsong echoed faintly outside. Morning. But something was different. Her hands were warm. She looked down. A single speck of light lay in her palms. A tiny star. Not bright enough to burn, but bright enough to remember. Mira smiled softly, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I won't forget," she whispered. She stood, walked to her window, and pushed it open. The morning sky stretched above her, pale, glowing, alive. And she knew, when night returned, she would begin. She would teach the children the old shapes. She would name the constellations again. She would tell stories of whales that swam in the dark. She would carry the memory of the sky, so it would never fall silent again. Mira closed her eyes, holding the tiny star against her heart. "Thank you," she whispered to the fading echo of the whale's song. And the sky, as if hearing her, shimmered. "Thank you for listening to Sleep with Myth."